Hello, space fans. Prepare to have your mind blown. I'm about to show you the most exciting thing you've been shown. But buckle up and hold on tight. I'm about to blow your mind plumb out of sight. Put on your shades and your sunscreen because we're going to the most tropical place you've ever seen. And with that, we're going to go share. And look what I got to show you right over here. In fact, this is why we should actually, get this, colonize Venus first. What? Colonize Venus first? Well, I'm about to show you an awesome concept here. Elon Musk, turn that spaceship around and settle Venus first. And I'm about to show you why Venus is the best possible place for immediate human settlement. And in fact, over time, you can imagine actually something like 333 billion people living in total richness and prosperity on Venus. Yes, for several 100 million years before the sun takes it out. And I've got a habitat concept I'm going to show you that can easily hold 16,000 people per habitat. Greg, you got to be crazy. You've lost your mind. Venus is hell. Oh, but look at it. Yes, there it is. I do tell. And the Russians who went there, and with their Venusian 13, yes, they discovered it was hot and absolutely obscene. At 872 degrees Fahrenheit, or 467 C, it's twice as hot as solar hour, can't you see? And the pressure, oh my God, 93 times that of Earth. And acid, oh my gosh, this place is the dirt. How can you possibly imagine going there? Bing, well, there's a sweet spot. There is a place up in the sky of Venus. Yes, this is where I do. Greg, you're talking nonsense. No, I'm going to show you all this in a minute. You're good. Just hang on, buckle up. Like I said, I'm about to blow your mind. There is a sweet spot in the atmosphere of Venus from just under 50 to over almost 60 kilometers here. There is a spot where the temperature and the pressure are just like here on Earth. The temperatures are similar to Earth. The air pressure is like 1 bar, 1 atmosphere. You see this? This is the sweet spot indeed. And I'm about to show you what we can put here to plant and grow our seed. Yes, the Allison Spheres. In fact, I call this Allison Sphere Venus 5. Venus 5? Well, this isn't the first one I plan to do. This is the one that's most alive. So I'm going to show this one first. And that's what you're going to get on this presentation. The next presentation, this presentation is going to show you how beautiful and wonderful it can be to live on Venus and why you want to go there first. My next presentation, I'm going to show you the follow-up to this, just how easy it actually is to build these things, how we could build these things to start with straight up, why we could actually build on Venus before we can build on Mars, why it'll be easier, far easier to colonize Venus than Mars. That is in the follow-up presentation. This one is just to show you the practicality of how we can get at it. I'm going to show you a design concept here. This is not a detailed design like it's got a lot of engineering. It has some, but this is a concept design because the detailed design will follow requirements which follow certain desirements. And they're variable because you have a lot of latitude in what you can do here. And that's what I'm going to show you. Greg, what is this thing? It is an inflatable one. That's not inflatable, actually. This is a rigid pressure structure to float in the atmosphere of Venus in that sweet spot I just shown you. Like I said, I call it the Allison Sphere. Hey, look, there was the Bernal Sphere. There was the O'Neill colonies. Everybody gets them named after them, right? Oops, hang on. We'll go back there in a minute. So we'll come back to this one. All right. So what I'm showing here is a structure. This is intended to be a rigid structure with a little bit higher pressure on the inside than outside, so the acid in the atmosphere doesn't mix in. Yes, there is sulfuric acid in the atmosphere of Venus. Greg, well, knew that. That's why we thought you couldn't go there. Well, hang on. You're going to like this when I get done. This is a structure 1 mile in diameter. It was inspired by Buckminster Fuller's tensegrity sphere concept. That tensegrity sphere is not all that practical, in my humble opinion, to build and construct and hold an atmosphere inside of. Oh, it makes a very practical in terms of lightweight structure, and tensegrity structures are very, very interesting. In fact, you might still do that. That's still open, but this is more like his geodesic concept. This will be intended to be a rigid structure. Could be inflatable, but I don't think I'd want to go that route. And you don't need to, at least not as you start to mature this concept. Okay, what we're looking at here is a cross section. This is from here to here, or from here to here, or from here to here. And where you go cut across the center is a mile. And of course, you can change that too if you so desire. I said desire must drive requirements. Now, this is intended to look kind of like a hanging garden inside. This has a slope in here. It's kind of like a crater. Now, you could take this without everything underneath it and put it on Mars. Well, wait, just do you see what these little elements in here are, and what all this stuff is, and how it even pertains to Earth, Mars, and the Moon. So I've got a whole lot of stuff to be showing you very soon. Now, there is a lot of latitude in what I've drawn here because I was having a lot of fun with this concept when I discovered the kind of things that were possible. The slopes of this bowl here, more or less, is terraced, and each terrace has homes. There's 20 terraces that go all the way around it, and each terrace is 100-foot long, and there's homes in there. I'll show you how this stuff is laid out. Each home has over 1/10 of an acre to it. That 1/10 of an acre is based on the concept of the Dervase family of Pasadena, California, who grow 7,000 pounds of food per year and feed themselves everything they eat except grain products, and they sell from that farm and make a living on it. They were originally supporting 4 adults. And I've been there twice. And I have another channel called Galactic Graves, in which I've actually done 2 videos. My last trip there. Very interesting family, very interesting, very inspiring. And they grow all their food. I'll show you more about it in a little bit. They grow all their food low tech in raised beds with my friends. It is quite interesting. And I'm going to show you the numbers, the math, how all this works out. Just bear with me. Hang on to your hat. We're going to go into this. Now, this is also intended to have a little fun. I'm showing here an internal truss structure. It's totally unnecessary. Well, if this has got a pressure on it, the sphere itself could have almost everything hanging from it. Almost. Something we may one day want to land this as we terraform Venus, and maybe having some structure could accommodate leg pylons and other things might be of interest of you or use. Of course, you might have cannibalized this and built whole new structures by then. So many things to consider. Now, this thing, like I said, is a mile in diameter. It's intended to have an Earth-type atmosphere in here. Outside is most of the CO2. So I'm going to talk about buoyancy. We're going to neglect that initially because the initial buoyancy talk I'm going to have, it really is the buoyancy in Earth's atmosphere. And Venus's atmosphere is far better. So don't get ahead of me. Greg, you're talking Earth stuff. Oh, yeah, I'm going to start out with that just for fun. And then I'm going to blow your mind once I get done with that. All right. Well, look here. This thing could have, let's say we have like an open pillars in the center going around the center. They're going to have a center courtyard about 400 foot. It's going to have a lake in it, at least for this design. You can change. All these things are variable. You can do so much with it. You can stack layers in here 10 foot up all the way and put homes in them. Oh yeah, by the way, every block on here is 100 feet. If I recall my scale here, no, it's 200 feet. Okay, one block is 200 feet. Every little block in this engineering pad is 200 feet. All right, so there we go. Now that's right, because these 100 foots were 2 per. So this is also intended to have homes down here. So there's homes here and terraces, but there's also some down here. So this is transparent. This is transparent or somewhat transparent because this is a greenhouse on Venus, for Pete's sake. You probably wanted some pretty severe shade cloth on it because the sun is twice as strong at Venus. And believe you me, I have a greenhouse. I do aquaponics. I do a lot of what I'm talking about inside of here. In fact, almost everything I'm talking about inside of here, I'm doing to some degree or another. Now, I'm going to tell you, my greenhouse is typically 20 degrees hotter unless I run air, force air through it on the outside than on the inside, day or night. And I can do even better at nighttime since I've got water inside of it, moderating the temperature. Now, if you've got, so this is a cross section. So we're looking inside this bowl around here. And on this, we're looking kind of just cross section of the terraces. But if you were to look at it from outside, this intended for this bottom section to be mirrored. And for that reason, I've colored it blue here, and I've drawn some little mirrors hanging from the outside with the idea that you could have some kind of mirrors out here assisting and reflecting light to the inside to shine down here. Here, this is green because you've got homes with growing stuff. And here's the same thing, green. Oh, what is this up here? These are terraces too. What? Yes, you could put habitats and homes and shops and places in different areas. And I show this to be like a park area. And underneath, you've got kind of upside down. We can put some little balconies out here and be a great place for restaurants and gosh knows what. I'm even hanging a little structure down here with a little pod that I'm thinking might be a great place for a hanging pool. And from here's a little line going down. This is actually the angle I worked this out. It's the same angle as the tallest, the longest, most highest slope zip line in the world. Zip lines. Yes, you could put zip lines, guy wires, zip lines all through here at different layers, going from one place to another. There's so much to play with here. And there's stuff to play with on the outside. There's all kind of recreational concepts for the inside of this and for the outside of this. And I'll save those for other videos. I'm going to do many videos on this coming up because I'm writing a book on this concept. And this goes beyond Venus too. It's not just a Venus concept at all. But this is the starting place because it's so great place to start. I've even got a helipad on top. Helipad? What do you know? This is a space. No, it's in the atmosphere of Venus. You can have helicopters as long as they're electrical powered. Yeah, you're not going to have internal combustion engines running around on Venus. But the electric vehicles are really advancing on Earth. I expect to see this on Earth in 10 years. You know, look at everything we're doing with the Tesla batteries and such on a big observation deck up here. Maybe a community comm tower here. Maybe not any of that. Hopefully we can be able to cover all this with graphene. So if you wanted to beam microwaves from a power satellite down here, it would totally absorb it, and none of it would go inside of here. And then I'm also showing down here we'd have sewer and water treatment, maybe fish, mushrooms, or you might just want to fill all this stuff down here with Venus air to help hold it down so it won't pop up too high. This is going to be very buoyant. Greg, you're crazy. You got a lot of mass in here. Well, I'm going to show you. I'm even showing factories hanging down here, radiators, and maybe I should have shown a lot larger manufacturing here. I need to hang more weight from this thing. Let me show you how that works in just a moment because you're thinking, no way. Oh, absolutely. Oh, I've even got some support rings in here, like here and here and here, going all the way around the outside. I got concepts for connecting these up. I have concepts for the ASV1, how it's to be built, how it can be built from starships in the flying. Greg, you can't land a starship on Venus. Oh, yes, you can land it in the atmosphere of Venus and operate a starship in Venus. Probably easier than Mars. Yes, easier than Mars. And you can build there. And I'm going to show you that in the next video. So subscribe to my channel and bang the update notification bell and click all to get all of my videos because the next videos are going to be more exciting than this one. And it's going to get better and better. So just hang on to your seats, buddies. We're going for a ride here. Bam. Now, like I'm showing, this is, I drew this smaller by kind of scale. So each block here is actually a different scale than this one. But, I drew the smaller and I just kind of blew it up and pasted it in here, thanks to the wonders of cutting and stretching stuff, right? But this gets them kind of closer and get an idea of looking at it, from the side. If you could peel away anything that's not transparent, it might look more like this from the outside. You'll see a mirror section and green section. But if you're looking from above, you're going to see the green inside this bowl because this is intended to look kind of like the hanging gardens of Babylon. Yes, plants everywhere. Maybe some of these zip lines and guy lines would actually be vine lines with vines, Vinland, except a hot Vinland, but not too hot. Maybe you can control that. Yeah, shade clouds. Remember, twice the sun. Oh yeah, what does Greg Allison know about the space stuff and rockets? Well, and balloons especially, and inflatables. Oh my gosh. Okay, well here I'm doing a ground launch rocket back in 1996. This was. In fact, it was April the 13th, 1996, in a cornfield in Manchester, Tennessee. This is a hybrid rocket with the same kind of bulkhead that many years later, Burt Rutan patented and claimed it was his greatest invention in some of the conferences. Yes, there was a integrated bulkhead between the motor and the oxidizer tank. This oxidizer tank carries nitrous oxide, yes, laughing gas. And the fuel grain is asphalt because we intended to pay the road space and laugh all the way. Oh, yeah, this is proof positive that I am, in fact, outstanding in my field, or at least once was. Oh yeah. Well, I'm glad I look so much better than that now. Holy smoke, that poor guy. I needed help back then, didn't I? This is the rocket after we recovered it. I found it and recovered it. This is 10 years and about a month later, May the 11th on 1997, where their Halo SL1 rocket. That's GEO one for ground launch one. This is space launch or sky launch one. Yeah. Halo, Halo, hanging a rocket from a balloon and off they go. That's what that was named after. See the shirt, Halo. People hear me saying Halo. A lot of people say it now, but we predated the game, and a lot of other people saying I own that word. I sung that word. Put light down a tunnel. Check my old videos saying Halo, no doubt, in the Mount Hollywood tunnel with Rex Bear. So here we are. This rocket's about 7.5 foot long. It made it into the Guinness Book of World Records. Page 183, my friends. Boom, boom. The 2000 Millennium Edition, highest flight of an amateur rocket. This rocket right here. And this was, we were just getting started. Oh yeah, this is Tim Pickens. He became pretty famous for doing a lot of rocket work later. Bam. And here the rocket is, and it's gondola. You can kind of see it sticking there in the little red wing colors there. Same rocket. And this is the balloon, and it's coming off Topsail Beach in North Carolina on 11 May 1997. Yeah, we had Hellbot Comet up in the sky that night while we were prepping this, and we're up all night. And here we are, a year later, out in the Gulf of Mexico on the NASA Pearl River barge. And yeah, NASA gave us a ride. This is a bigger SL2 rocket. Now, this thing actually is hanging in the Straight to L brewery in Huntsville, Alabama today from the seal end. Yes, indeed. And look, see, balloon, this is your polyethylene scientific balloon, polyethylene. This little ball of gas expanded and filled this whole thing up to a very large, tight sphere when it got to operational altitude just before it ruptured. We'll cover this in the future. Greg, why are you showing this stuff? Just to show you that I know a little bit about balloons, okay? We're going to talk about inflatables. And here, you see that little tuft of hair right there where my cursor is? That is me. And I'm right here next to the Balloon Launch Return Vehicle, the High Altitude Research Corporation. Yes, we spun off a company, and this was a rocket-powered balloon-launched ROV. Now we call it a raccoon. A raccoon is a balloon-launched rocket. And I'm going to return to this topic in my next video. And here we are now, way out in the Gulf of Mexico, operating off of a boat called the C. Michael Calais. And this is the BLRV with this balloon as it's starting to ascend. This was an earlier test of a subscale version of that rocket that's in my garage today. And here we are with the HARC CATS Prize, Cheap Access to Space Prize rocket, raccoon, that is. This is the rocket. The whole thing is a raccoon, balloon-launched rocket on ascent from a ship known as the Mr. Offshore, also out in the Gulf of Mexico. Yeah, and we also did a balloon for Martian Airobot project as a contract to JPL. And we did that actually on this flight, not on this one. This one was a totally different mission. And this was in October, I believe, somewhere in October of year 2000. And we did these two missions just a few months apart. Bam, bam. We were busy puppies. Oh, by the way, this was a side venture of mine. In addition to being an officer in the National Space Society and having a day job working on space station, the International Space Station, this is the things I did on the side. And yeah, this involved filing with the FAA, launch waivers. It involved developing avionics, which these projects turned out to be more avionics projects than rocket projects. We had to file the FCC, a lot of stuff, can't you see? But Greg, will it float? This is the reason I showed you that other stuff, because I can tell you a little bit about things floating. And yes, it will float, even if you launch it from a boat, as we did. Hey, you could build these out to sea, and I could probably show you that one day, certainly. But we're going to build these on a sea of air on Venus. Don't you care? All right, so we're going into the mathematics of the floating aspect of this. Yeah, by the way, you'll see I draw this stuff on the engineering pad first, and I wrote in a lot of little notes here, and we'll share some of these in the future. Now let me see if I can move my little picture here. So let's determine the volume of this thing. If it's a mile, then the radius is half a mile, and it's 2,640 feet. And volume is calculated by 4/3 of pi times r cubed. That's taking this number and multiplying it times itself 3 times, right? So if you do this, you would determine that, wow, this has got a lot of cubic feet in it, right? Whew, 77 billion cubic feet. Yow! So I decided just to toss out all these numbers and round it to, let's just say 77 billion cubic feet. We'll throw out a, measly 72 million. Will it float? Okay, here's Earth's atmosphere numbers. And what we're looking at, to grab this from the engineering toolbox, a handy dandy web tool. And I laid this out earlier with actually graphing paper. It's kind of hard to pick stuff and then putting it in the PowerPoint as I did. But I just drew a line in here and I drew some pointers. So I just picked the 86 degrees and the curve for a 75.2 degrees Fahrenheit. And this gives me also the atmosphere density and slug feet at this pressure for at those temperatures. Slug feet? What's a slug foot? No, it's not the speed of a foot. Slug is mass in the English unit. We call it weight typically, but that's a misnomer. It's a slug. That's what us engineers know. Okay, so let's take this, bam, and we took these numbers out from there. And I figured, oh, at 14.7 at 86 degrees, you've got 2.24 slug feet. And if you cool down to 75.2 degrees, you get 2.3 slug feet. So there's really a difference here, 0.06 slugs per cubic foot. So it's actually a difference of only 2.6% difference in density. Not much. Of course, this is, what we're looking at here is something on the order of a little better than 10 degrees, 10.8 degrees, I guess, in difference. Like I said, I get 20 in my greenhouse without even trying, with the shade cloth on the greenhouse, by the way, in the daytime. You might say, well, it'll cool off at nighttime. Actually, at nighttime, my greenhouse is still 20 degrees warmer. But I digress. I'm trying to be conservative here. But conservatism is not at all required, as you're about to see. Oh my gosh, this is about to blow your mind. Okay, a slug foot is 32.14, 174 pounds. Acceleration of gravity. Yeah, that's where it comes from. if you know engineering units, you got it. So okay, so times 0.06. We're looking at the percentage here and here. Oh well, that's the part of slug feet. That's your partial slug feet. So we got that, and we got this much slug feet difference. Okay, the difference in slug feet is a 0.06 slugs per cubic foot. That's the difference from one density to the other, but multiplied times 32.1. So what we get is almost 2 pounds per cubic foot. Hey, that's pretty good, even if it is 2.6%, right? But when you integrate it across 77 billion cubic feet, you get this much lift. This much, what? That's 150 billion pounds of lift with only 6% difference in density. Holy smoking guacamole. That is like almost 20,000 Saturn V rockets. Woohoo! But Greg, you're putting a lot of weight in there. Okay, so let's talk about the weight. I'm basing this all on what I call a Dervaes unit of, after the Dervaes family, of course, of a tenth of an acre per home. Yeah, we're going to have homes in this thing. Homes with gardens, greenery, soil, houses, yards, all that. What, in a balloon out in space on Venus? Oh, absolutely, and easily done. An acre is 43,560. Well, it should say square feet. Okay, I made a mistake. I'll have to change that. All right. So an acre, well, the balloon got me in cubes. Okay, forgive me. An acre, say let's put it at 6 inches of soil, because 6 inches is all you really need in a raised bed to grow stuff. So, so if we take that, that becomes like a half a foot. So you've got now here cubic feet makes sense, right? Bing, 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 bing. Just half of that in cubic feet, basically. So we got 21,780 cubic feet. All right, now I'm going to take a tenth of that for a tenth of an acre, and then so we got 2,178 cubic feet. Soil weighs about 40 pounds a cubic foot. So we got, wow, that's a lot of soil. We got 43.5 tons of soil. Greg, you can't possibly hang this in there. Okay, so I said, heck with it. A typical house weighs 200 to 400 tons. That's nothing. So let's say we got 300 tons per house, and we've got how many houses can we put in here? It's uh, 74 million tons. 74 million tons. This is what we got to work with. Did I mention that? Yeah, 74 million tons. All them pounds become 74 million tons. I rounded it down. I rounded it down, guys. 74 million tons at 300 tons per hour. That gives you, holy smoke, almost 250,000 houses and 4 people per house. You know, look, we could put almost 1 million people in there, but I don't want to fit all that, not in the design I shown. You could, but it would be really stacked, racked and stacked in there. Holy smoke. So, okay, let's double the weight, put a foot of soil in there, and let's come out and let's say, hey, I'll rent it to 400 tons. I'll rent it up to 800 tons per home. And still, look, you get 800 tons per home and lawn. I got 92,500 houses. Well, that's a lot more houses I want to put in here because I'm only going to shoot for about 4,000 houses, right? For 16,000 people. So that's about a sixth of that. But wait a minute. Whoa. We can do far better than it but that is for Earth. This is if we're going to float this thing in the atmosphere of Earth. But on Venus, the atmosphere of Venus, mostly CO2, has an average molecular weight of 44. Well, Earth's air averages 29. Wait a minute. So the difference is 34%. Look at this. 44 minus 29 divided by 44, 34%. And we had 74 million tons of lift, thrust, basically, with just 2.6% difference in density. Look at the huge difference here. So everything I just shown you was just for fun, because that's for what you want to do when you put it in the atmosphere of Earth. But there's other challenges to that. So the issue is not, can we put enough weight in it? The issue is, how do we deal with so much lift? We got to fill these habitats up and more. Check it out. As I said, I'm going to blow your mind. Check it out. We ain't done with this yet. Here's your Earth air. Here's your Venus air. Yeah, here's your difference. So therefore, a mile diameter Allison Sphere is going to have nearly 1 trillion tons of lift. 1 trillion tons of lift. Well, Greg, that's impossible. We'll go all the way to Mars. No, you won't. No, you won't. It's displacement, it's buoyancy. It will float to the point. It might, if you turned it all loose at once, yeah, it'd shoot up, overshoot, and come back down. And then it would be, you don't want to do that because it might come back down a little hard. So you can't do this. You got to build it a little bit gradual, but there's control systems, and we'll play around with some future videos. Now, I've got ideas for all that. Now, trust me. So, yeah, I'm having so much fun with this. Wait till you see Elon Musk start the SpaceX Starship and my Starship concepts. We're operating starships in the Venus atmosphere, and for building the ASV-1. Remember, this habitat's ASV-5. When I get the ASV-1, we're going to have some fun. When you see how simple that's going to be built, it's going to blow your mind all over again. And I've already got numbers worked out for that. So this is all in the pike. It's all in the mill. It's all coming. All righty. So 1 trillion tons of lift. Well, yeah, like I said, again, this is going to go up to the point where your weight of your facility equals the weight of the atmosphere it's displacing, and that's where it's going to float at. Now, the key thing for this operation is to make sure the surface of it is rigid enough that it can handle the difference in pressure with a good design margin. Just heck, design or the operating vacuum if need be at 14.7 psi inside. But 14.7 psi inside puts a lot of pressure on the structure too, because it integrates over the area. I'll go into all of that, my friends. We're going to see it. Yes, this is doable. It will be exciting. Just imagine a hanging garden. I mean, you got plants going up here, a pool here, zip lines. You got homes down here, plants everywhere. Oh, but I'm going to give you the cross section here. I'm going to show you these little homes, the terraces, and a lot more here. We're going to get into it. Bam, 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 boom. So look, if you were to look from the top straight down, like this, and look at all these terraces, this is kind of the layout of terraces. Bam, there's 20 of them. I hand drew this with the help of a compass as best as I could sketch it on paper. See that little point there? That's where the hole in the paper was. Yeah, I scanned this in. And you know, hey, this isn't computer drawn. This is hand drawn. My pencil slips and stuff like that. So you know, it's not perfect, but it's close. It gives you the idea. If you were to look straight down, oh, you can design this different. Again, you know, desirements lead to requirements. Maybe you want more nature, less homes, or you want to, you know, there's a lot of things. There's a lot of variability. You may want that slope different. The slope here, and I'm going to go into that. Bing, bang. All righty. So let's look at the homes. We're going to put homes in this thing. I populated it, and because I was trying to figure out streets and things like that. How many? Where do I want to put the streets? I mean, if you could start out streets, you know, and just run 4 streets this way and this way, they service a lot of homes down here, or a few, but out here it gets to be a long way around between the streets. What's typical, and I actually put this up here, is that a city block is usually about 3. Yeah, you got to think about city blocks when you're designing a city. I may be a country boy, but I'm not a country bumpkin. Yes, I am a country boy. Thank God. Yeah, a typical city block is 330 by 660 feet. So our city blocks are going to be like 100 by the 660. So I divide 12. You get 12 each if you got 50-foot wide homes in there, and that's essentially what I'm shooting for. Boom, boom. So I did this mathematics. So for each terrace, I looked at the base R, and then I looked at the radius of the terrace, which I kept adding 100 feet for where it started at. And I was able, based on that, all I'm trying to figure out is how many homes can I put on each row based on having at least 50 foot around as I go. And then there'll be a little bit of a pie section coming out from there. So they're 100 feet long. So they're going to have more footprint per home than what I'm going to show you when I show you the house layout in a moment. And then so what I did is, you know, also figured out street calculations. I had to take the integral numbers. And you can see the streets will, for a while, they stayed about the same number in some of these. How many homes you can put on each one of these. And I also did the miles of the circumference, and the number of homes on the main terrace and the number of people living on the main terrace. That is the upper level, that is. The upper deck, I should say, not the main terrace. This is the upper deck. This is the lower deck. Upper deck, lower deck. Homes on each one. And that's the attic. or maybe the mid deck, you know, upper deck. This may be the attic up here, I don't know, whatever you want to think. Whatever you want to think. Yeah, I got observation towers. Yeah, I'm having fun with this, guys. Having fun because it allows me to. I can load this thing up with mass. And this is the lower deck. So when I go through and calculate all this, come up with how many homes I can have. So this colony can have almost 4,000 homes when you lay it out this way. And the number of people, almost 16,000. I ain't consider there's going to be kids. Here again, I put the little city block metric in here. You know, just cut and pasted from the other, it's just handwritten. Now, I'm not an artist, okay? Well, I can actually draw decent art when I got time. I was drawing this like 2 or 3 in the morning. I was kind of in a little bit of a hurry. It's hard to do some of these things in a hurry. This is looking from the outside. Oh, notional ideas of mirrors reflect light down if you're way up in a higher latitude. Also, if you're in a higher latitude, you get the sun, instead of having the sun shine straight down in there, you might not make it a bowl at all. You might have everything on one side just kind of coming down like that. So this is facing the sun more. You might do that. Again, you may not want all the sun. Or you can have other mirror arrangements. There's so much you could do. There's a lot of latitude here, but this is kind of looking down from outside, like looking down this way, or maybe from an angle like this, looking at this thing, you know, with my poor art. I freehanded that, you know, and yeah, it didn't all line up too well, but you know, maybe I'll do it better, or better yet, I'm planning to try to hire some artists, commission some artists to do some really nice, beautiful drawings of this. I think we can make it look awesome. And I'll definitely have to cover that in my videos when I do. Again, this is looking out. And I even have some crazy notional idea for putting some mass support balloons up here. I don't know why they're just fill them over there and they'll support themselves. Things are you can build a house and hermetically seal it and put earth there in it and throw it in the atmosphere of Venus and it'll float. Yeah, you can see I was doing these in early October. The reason I'm just now releasing this is because when I had to stop and finish my taxes. I wanted to get this done before I did my taxes, but time just did not permit, my friends, my late taxes. So let's get back into this. That's why you see drawings done on the 2nd of October, 4th of October. This is the 3rd of October. This is the home, looking crosswise across it, through it. You know, like if you got your house and you cut away the wall and you're looking into it. So these terraces, I've designed them in this rendition. Now, this is all part of your desirements. You can totally change this. It can all be flatter. They don't even have to have a slope to it at all. The whole thing could be flat as a platter, or flatter than a platter. Except you do probably want a little pond in the area, maybe a little relief, because some water might be condensing off the ceiling and come running back around. So you want to be able to handle that and channel it and do whatever you need to do with it. Now, I drew this to be a 50-foot high over a 100-foot run. Now, you got a 10-foot road in here. You know, earth roads are about 8 feet, so, and maybe a guardrail so people don't fall. You know, so you could have a road up here so the guy don't fall off this and drop 30 foot on your ceiling. You know, that would hurt. We got a little bit of a guardrail here. Now, only reason I drew this thing 50 foot up is if you wanted to plant trees in here, it could grow up to 50 feet without obstructing the neighbor's view. And then you might have walls on this part anyway. So maybe you can even get a 70-foot tree coming up out of here without making a guy over here mad, because he's getting most of his light from directly above anyway. 70-foot tree. You know, my trees behind my house are about 80 to 90 foot, probably 90. It's about, you know, I got some tall trees. So the idea here is this surface of this and this is 1/10 of an acre. I'm going to show you looking down on it view. This is 1/10 of an acre on top of this. This is 1/20th of an acre, and this is 1/20th of an acre. So you have a workshop business area inside your home in a lower level. That's a little better than 2,300 cubic square feet. I got to go that cube again. And it's the same area up here. This is maybe your living quarters. So you got shop area. You can make a living out of your home. You can grow all your food here. Yeah, literally. I'm showing like a fish tank here. I'm showing the plants growing on the bottom here. But in this case, I'm actually showing plants growing on a little aquatonic. Look, you have twice the sunlight. And you can do this on Earth, by the way. You can have plants growing over each other because of the sunlight. I got shade cloth, 50% shade cloth in my greenhouse. And if I was at Venus, that wouldn't be enough. And you can still stack the plants in, especially the ones on the bottom, like lettuce, that don't need as much light. You can grow them on the wall behind the house if you got it sloped that much. But you may desire not to have it sloped at all. Like I said, the whole thing could be flat as a platter. That would be just, it wouldn't even matter. Or maybe you want to just slope it 20 foot or 30 foot, you know, put it for this, or maybe just give it another 10 foot. You know, you can do a lot with trees on 30 foot, like banana trees. Or you can trim your trees. So this is all a desirement. It may be too much slope for you to be riding your bicycles up and pedal cars up and down the street. But then again, you can put little rotating cables you just grab a hold of or hook onto to handle that for you. And again, Venus, your gravity is only 90%, so it won't be as much work. Right up and down the steep roads. And you won't accelerate quite as much falling down as you're heading toward the ground. No, you don't do that on Venus. At the bottom of the habitat, center of the habitat, whatever. So, looking straight down, it's 50 foot across, 90 foot deep, 50 by 90. This gives you a little better than 1/4 of an acre in here. I do the calculations over here to show how that works out. And this is just a notional idea. This is your courtyard. Now you could have a solid wall here. You could even put, you know, rooms down here if you wanted to, and back this off. You could have, you know, the real, you know, the Spanish style open courtyard. You live all around. You could do that if you wanted. Now I'm showing thick walls here for thermal mass, for radiation shielding. I'll show a ceiling. Bam. Yeah, see, this is like 2 foot thick ceiling. So yeah, that's for radiation shielding if you should need it, but you won't need as much on it. Hey, you know what? On Venus, the atmosphere, you don't have a magnetosphere, but the atmosphere is going to give you a lot more shielding than you're going to get on Mars. Not only that, but you're not going to have the micrometeoroid problem either. So you're going to have a lot more shielding. And the sun being stronger, yeah, you're going to get more solar radiation, but you'll get less cosmic rays. And having less cosmic rays means that your secondary particle problem may not be as strong on Venus. So we got some things to figure out on that. But hey, with 14.7 psi, you can hang 55-gallon water drums from the ceiling of the sphere all over the place and use those to stop the radiation. Yeah, it really would. And it would take the weight. You're about to see how much thrust you're going to have on the ceiling shortly. And you're going, Greg, we need to hang more weight. We need more weight in this whole habitat. We need more water. Where are we going to get the water? That's the next presentation, actually. Where are you going to get the water? We're going to get the atmosphere. I'll show you, and it's going to be quite clear. So this is a square one. Now, what I did my calculations on was 50 foot to roadside. This is all rectangular. Actually, the road is circular. So what's going to happen is this is going to open up with a little bit of a pie slice. It's going to give you more area. Or maybe you could just open it up and have a little open courtyards between them or something from Miami Nature or whatever. This is the Earth version that I drew some time back. You might have seen me pitch this. Yes, an Earth version. And this is, we were looking from this point in this way. So it's longer this way than it is this way in this case. So this, unlike the version I drew here, which is longer going that way. Quite a bit of difference between the two different configurations, but they're each scaled for 1/10 of an acre. And you can also do them circular. I'll show you something on that because we've actually drawn this up and we got a sim for a Mars habitat based on my concept. All this scaled up a little bit, and that's fine. There's a lot of latitude what you can do here. And I'm not lying. Yes, you can make a much better home on Earth, a home that you can make a living out of, live out of, produce your energy and grow your food on, and have your own little industry down here, blah, 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 blah. And look, it was solar for your kitchen and hot water right there, power over here, and you wouldn't need much power input at all. Yes, this is the Earth concept. This one's partially submerged, helping with the thermal mass. Well, we'll go into that more in the future. I've already covered that some in the past. So here's this. Here we're focusing in. Actually, I just took a snippet of what I drew on my other drawing and blew it up. This is a snippet of the terrace, the upper deck, basically, with the terraces on it. And this is your workshop. This is your living area. This is your garden. I showed even a couple more growing areas. Oh yeah, one I didn't mention. Gee whiz, gee whiz. Yeah, you got 1/10 of an acre just right here and here. If you're growing in tubes here, that's another 1/10 of an acre. Growing here, that's even more. And you can grow down here too, and other places as you're about to see. So this whole notion, you only got 1/10 of an acre. Well, one, you can grow your food on 1/10 acre, especially in Mars, Venus, Mars too. But yes, we've got a lot more to work with. But you know, this is, I'm going to show you the numbers in a minute on growing the food. It's like, but, yeah. Hey, we get so much more buoyancy on Venus. So we've got a structure here, a shell, and this is the shell of that matches the slope that you saw earlier in the bigger drawing. That's the slope. There's ding, ding, ding. Let's see, ding, ding, ding. Let me get back up here. That's the slope right here. Exact same slope. Ding, 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 ding. Right here. That's this. Okay, so now I'm taking a little section of this and I'm blowing it up for you. Bing, bing. So you can see what we're doing here. And this is the home I showed you earlier, looking crosswise. And this one I put a tree in. These don't have trees. This one's got a tree. Workshop, living area. But look at this. So if this is your home area, you got all this space behind it. Oh my gosh, we're going to go into that here in just a minute. Bam. Again, I took the drawing of the living area I just showed you earlier, and I showed you how that matches this. And look here, we got a lot more space behind it too, and underneath, behind, underneath, or underneath this one. So you might be using this space or that space too, or it could be used by somebody entirely different. Bam. I'll show you more on that in a minute. So this is pretty exciting, right? Will it hold together? Oh my God, will all this hold together? See, that's a good question. Oh yeah, look here. I see I've got other support struts and for each level, guy wires. You can fill this in with guy wire, support struts, all kind of stuff, going everywhere you want. And you don't really need them so much, honestly. Pounds of force of lift from across a mile-wide dome. Remember talking about hanging water from it? So if you figure the square foot, yeah, okay, I got square this time instead of cubic. All right. So so you got 144 square inches per square foot, right? And 14.7 pounds of force per square foot. That's the normal pressure we like. We could run this thing at more pressure. Oh, but that'll make it more buoyant. Maybe a little higher pressure. I don't need so much buoyancy. No, not at all. Oh my God, look at this. 45 billion pounds of force pushing up on your dome. So if you put a dome on Mars and you got a vacuum outside or on the moon, like all the artwork shows, it's going to blow right out. Boom! It's going to launch 45 billion pounds of thrust if it's a mile wide. And I've also done the calculations for 30 feet and other diameters. It is mind-boggling. Mind-boggling. That's going to say it's going to blow your mind. But guess what? We can handle this. We can handle this with 100-year-old bridge building technology, because the Golden Gate Bridge weighed over a trillion. A trillion, 1.3 of a trillion pounds, or 887,000 tons. Okay, you see this? This exceeds that. Trillions versus billions. So we're actually 2 orders of magnitude greater. And this is supported by cables, still cables with old technology. So yeah, and by the way, like I said, we can hang a lot of weight on this seal of the sphere and use this for radiation shielding. The reason I said water drums, well, if you got one big water tank up there and you shatter it, all that water's coming down. Water drums, you might just hang them at different altitudes, so if you get a little shaking going on, or not banging each other. Maybe. You know, this is all in engineering details. You put little baby buggy bumpers on them, or put, you know, some kind of dock cushions, or, you know, like when you put your boat up to the dock, or or my mind's getting blank here. I'm drawing blank. Or you could have tethers and cables or struts to hold them in a more rigid place. There's so much you could do. If you did that, then you could walk amongst them, and maybe people go swimming in them at the top of the sphere. Oh my God, I keep thinking of recreational ideas. Feeding the people, feeding my soul. Give me some rock and roll and fly away to Mars, Venus. All right. Throw area on the upper deck. So this is just looking at the amount of square foot available to you. And basically you got 502 acres. 502 acres, a little better than 502 acres, just if you look straight down. But you have additional growing area from the aquaponics tubes. And and so, you know, here's where I've worked all this out. Okay, my friends, but don't worry about it. Food consumption. And this is another from 2011 that computer did. Adult American on average eats 1,996 pounds of food per year. Okay, some condoms number, and it includes, you know, it's kind of a breakdown of what that was including. Luckily, it's not just pounds of junk we put in our system, right? Yeah, what we should do is make it more fruits and vegetables and less grain. And we can do that. We can absolutely do that. We eat too much grain in this country. Grain is fattening. Fruits and vegetables are so much better for you. And we can definitely maximize that, because they're the Vase family. Remember talking about the Vase unit? They're the Vase family in Pasadena, California, 1/10 of an acre, 7,000 pounds of food per year. They've exceeded that on some years, actually. So if you divide that by 1996, you can feed 3.5 people. But Greg, you're putting 4 people in these homes. How you gonna grow everything? Well, look, it just so happens if you increase the atmosphere by 20% CO2, which is not a problem with breathing. Oh, I should have come up with that. I got numbers for that too. This is well within the comfort range of way well of anything that's going to cause you a problem to breathe. The CO2 is not toxic. It's actually plant food. And at these levels, it's not going to fix itching. So all the oxygen, and you wouldn't even notice it. But the plants will love it. They'll grow 20%. Yeah, they grow, increase by 20%. So by increasing CO2. So what we can do here is, you know, I got to come up with some more numbers on that. I got charts on this. So if you increase the production from 7,000, you know, what you get is 8,400. You can feed 4.2 people. But remember, we've got aquaponics tubes overhead and other things. But when I show you all this, you might think, great, we don't need to grow any food in the homes at all or overhead, because we're going to be able to grow it in other places too. That's actually true, because, like I said, there was these little, if you slope this at 50 foot, now if you decrease the slope, you won't have as much volume behind and underneath the terraces. That would start to shrink. But at 50 foot, you get a lot of volume underneath. But remember, we need to fill this puppy up, right? So just imagine if you got a layer here. This is actually 1/10 of an acre in here. plus something commensurate to the roadway. We got a hallway behind our home. So if this is your home, you could have a huge hallway behind the home and living area. And this could be like a roadway. I drew it to be, just as thick as the road, actually more. That's the road. This is like 2 or 3 roads here. So this is a big hallway. I mean, you could have a 2-lane traffic going through here behind here, just in enclosed roadways. And that would be good if you got workshops here, or bars or discotheques. You can run your own businesses out of your underneath, whatever you want. You're living right upstairs above it. Or you can grow food. You can do all this. And here inside of here, looms, 3D printers. You could have CNC machines, lathes, whatever you want to put in here. And woodworking equipment, maybe. Yeah, and imagine carving a mask out of wood on Venus. Oh yeah, these plants will grow much faster. So let's say we got all these racks in here. Say you could grow food like I grow microgreens. You could stack this plumb full of racks and have little robotic machines run back and forth in here between them, or you can move the racks around so you can have room to get people in here, but they don't have to have hallways on each one. And then you put them 8 foot up. So we could really make this like 8/10 of an acre, and then another 8/10 of an acre. Some other little similar. What I'm getting at here is you could really come up to several acres of growing space. Rabbits, chickens. I don't know, you might even put a cow or horse in there. Fish, worms, mushrooms, just general composting areas. You have underneath the home, maybe your service utilities could run through here, your power, your water, your sewer. Yes. But I'm a really big fan of recycling that as much as possible. And yeah, that's a big part of the habitat concept I have, and like earthships too. And you could also have composting toilets. We really shouldn't be just throwing away our waste. Of course, you could also do that through a centralized system. Alternately, these areas could be apartments just for more people. One could be food, one could be apartments, or one could be growing food, and 4 could be growing apartments. We'll have to work these things out. The devil's in the details, and again, all that will change if you change the slope, which you could change the slope or eliminate the slope. You can make it 0. And then we got this life support area in the bottom. I was showing things down here, and I was talking about having, just a notional space in here where you might have air treatment centers, or ballast tanks, or maybe you put in tanks with algae and you blow the air through it. So it would give you a little extra carbon scrubbing if your carbon was getting too high in content. And it would also give you O2 back in return. And you could grow biomass from that stuff that you use in your composting. So you can have good biomass. It will help you convert the atmospheric carbon to Venus. Yeah. In fact, you might build all the stuff out of graphite structures, maybe even graphene. Yeah. And maybe that's what you build in the manufacturing areas. And this drop chute here, this open tube, this thing could just be wide open. And it could be that since you got a more buoyant air inside, the Venus air, if you run a positive pressure, I mean, the air from the outside would have a cutoff depending on how much pressure running inside, at a level that it would be at. Maybe if you really want to keep them separated, you put a floating diaphragm in the center. And this might be a wider diameter just so you can accommodate, get more of the heavier air in there that can help control your buoyancy. Or you might just fill all this up with Venus air to help control your buoyancy because you're too dang buoyant. We'll just hang some weight off. But how are we going to live on Venus? The Venus day-night cycle. Yes, Venus day-night cycle runs like 243 days. What? Yeah. A day-night cycle is like more than a year on Venus, almost a year on Earth, right? Greg, how can you have any plants growing like that? Well, it just so happens the good thing is the Venus atmosphere is mostly zonal as it blows, and it's about 700 kilometers per hour. So that works out about 437 miles per hour. And if you look at the circumference of Venus at 23,628 miles at the equator, it would take you about 2.25 days to go around the equator. Well, negating any north-south flow, which is pretty negligible. It exists, but it's fairly negligible on Venus. But at high altitudes, circumventing, you'll actually approximate something much closer to a day. Oh, by the way, the tilt of Venus is only 3%. So only a season there is summer. Where's the higher altitude? You might feel like you're cooler. You get a higher in the atmosphere, you can get cooler. And you can definitely design these habitats that float at different regions of the atmosphere. Power, what are you going to do for power? Well, like I said, the sun's twice as strong on Venus as it is on Earth. So solar power is an excellent option. You can have power satellites that beam power down on top of your habitats after you really get this thing going. And the graphene would stop any microwaves from going inside. Or you can have solar reflectors just reflecting more sunlight on you while you're in the dark, if you so choose to have that. Nuclear fission plants. NuScale is already coming out now with a 720 megawatt small modular nuclear reactor. It's a fission reactor, but everything it runs inside of is passive in terms of the water pumping. It's water cool, but it will run irregardless of having power, unlike our modern nuclear plants. So you don't got to worry about a meltdown. And nuclear fusion is really something to make us new inroads. Wildlife. Hey, the big question: what do mockingbirds eat? My name is Chad. Oh yeah, I'm writing a book, and that's going to be the chapter name of one of my books. What do mockingbirds eat? Question is, do you want mockingbirds? Again, we're in the desirements. Do you want wildlife inside this? Well, if you're going to have mockingbirds, you got to have a few other things too you may or may not want, like maybe grasshoppers, caterpillars, and beetles. So do you want a mockingbird? It's a beautiful songbird. You love to hear them. They could eat other things. They do eat some seeds, some feeders, and suet and things. So how are you going to handle mockingbirds if you want mockingbirds? Beautiful songbirds. Of course, they might crap on a few things, but they do that anyway, right? But they have a lovely trill. Ever heard that song? All right. That's my Mars concept, by the way. Yes, this is in a sim. I've done some video on this. This is inside. This is scaled up to 30 meters, cylindrical, and with alternate growing areas. And this is showing the Earth by comparison. They actually based this on scaling my Earth concept up, making sure. This was the earlier drawing I had done. For Mars, I'm showing the notional thing of water overhead and concrete, and Martian regolith here. So yeah, see, but you can use water as the shield, and you can get straight sunlight. You don't have to bury everything under Earth. You can get sunlight on Mars, on the moon. Of course, this has got a dome overhead, but it's also, if you go in and look on the sim, it's got pools of water hanging from the ceiling, per my suggestion, by the way. And I have done some videos, and if you look through my channel, you can find where I go in this thing, I'm flying around inside of it and walking around and showing. We'll go back to Mars again. Mars is exciting. I'm not discounting Mars, my friends. And now that I'm working and defining my ideas a little more, yeah, there's a whole lot more we can do with Mars, including building cities, just like I'm showing for the atmosphere of Venus on Mars, starting with basic habitats like these, okay? Yeah, something like this, or circular versions. I've shown that too. The cool thing about this shape is you can stack them in like honeycomb. Yes, but now this is what I'm showing. In fact, I'm going to build an analog like this in my place here, right there. This is my wood hinge on my property, and I'm planning to build something like that right here. Is that clear? Yes, and this is one of the beautiful Bernal spheres, with nature and homes inside, and people and parks, and this thing's about 1,600 foot in diameter. Yeah, my habitat's bigger than this. The S5 is. So some of you may recall the Stanford tourist concept with a tube that bends around with a diameter of a mile, but the tube itself is only 400 foot in diameter. This is the world's steepest zip line that I used to base my zip line on. Hey, and I thought, oh, this is cool. Look at these houses lined like this. I tried to do a piece of artwork to simulate what it might look like inside our habitat. Okay, well, I'm gonna have to get an artist. And again, hey, guess what? We've been flying big inflatable structures in space for a long time now. In the early 60s, the Echo satellite went up when I was a little bitty kid. I remember getting on top of a smokehouse in our backyard and watching that thing go over. And we will be talking about the atmosphere, how to build from and mine the atmosphere, how to mine the surface of Venus, where it's twice as hot as a soldering iron. It can be done. How to float on Venus, how to build these things. We're going to talk about the ASV1 in the next video. But I want to start here with looking at the vision for what's possible, the long term, the goals, the beauty. Now, I will show the beauty much better when I get some artist commission to draw this in a much more professional, beautiful rendering. This is me with a sketch pad working in the wee hours of the morning. That's when I do this kind of stuff, you know, like 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning. We've been going a little over an hour now. My hourglass is run out. I think it's really about an hour and 15 minutes. So I've got a lot more to show you, but we've run along here. So that's why I'm dividing this up. This is why I'm going to make several different videos showing you various aspects of this, showing you more about what to do on Venus, how we're going to make it work, how it's going to be so simple, how it's going to be so lovely. Even from the inception, it is going to boggle your mind. Just think about this. Hanging gardens of Babylon, floating in the atmosphere of Venus. And if it's too hot, just go to a higher float altitude. Oh yeah, by the way, you can operate outside on Venus. You don't need a spacesuit like you do on Mars. All you need is a little skin-tight acid-proof suit, just a skin suit, an acid-proof skin suit, like a frost suit, and a little mask with some with oxygen. And you know you want to have something to cover your face so you don't get the acid on it. Maybe some little goggles. You might even have a little face mask in general. And you know, hey, the gravity is only 90%. You could probably have we'll have little quadricopters packed and strap on your back and fly around with the new battery technology coming out by then. We're talking 10, 20 years from now. We can start this stuff maybe 10 years from now. If we can go to Mars in 10 years, we can go to Venus quicker. Venus is closer. And Venus doesn't have, look, guys, you got Earth gravity, almost Earth gravity. You go to Venus, you can come right back to Earth and walk around. Well, you know, of course, you got that transit in between that's going to throw you off, but I can try to deal with that too. I can show you how to deal with that based on concepts like these habitats. I can show you how to build space stations, starships, Mars ships, float in the atmospheres of Venus, show you how to go to Uranus, Neptune. Yeah, you can go to Pluto too, and asteroids. Maybe a little bit different, but look, you see this? Just take all this out and put this right here in a crater, or put it right on the ground. You don't even need the dome. You can build a city on the ground on Earth, and these homes will be amazing. Zero footprint in the environment. I mean, you're growing everything you need. You can 3D printers, you're making most of what you need right on site, right in your home. So you're eliminating all kind of transportations and travel needs. You can regenerate your power inside your home. You're going to be getting rid of infrastructure needs, pipeline needs, power line needs. You're going to be changing the world. This is a radical thing I'm coming up here with, especially when you look at the Earth versions of this and what this can mean to grow your own food and make your own goods. Everything you need right here in your home. You don't be relying upon anybody for anything, almost a little bit, but not nearly like we are today. So this could be freedom. This could liberate you in so many ways and liberate the environment. We're talking possibilities of having huge populations on all the planets living in total harmony with the planet. In fact, I refer to these homes as universal habitats, because you can put them anywhere. And also I refer to them as harmony habitats, because you live in harmony with your planet, with nature. So really the true name is universal harmony habitat for these homes. And they could be earthquake proof on Earth, earthquake proof, fireproof, well, pretty much earthquake proof, more fireproof, tornado proof, radiation proof in case we get into some kind of a conflict. They would be more resilient to future major flares that might come from the sun and the star. I have so much to work with, so much to show you for what we can do on Venus, Mars, and beyond. It's going to blow your mind. We hadn't even got started yet. So this is the introduction, a little bit of where I came from. So I know what a balloon is, or an inflatable. I know something about a rocket. And again, these were my side ventures. And I got to show you the avionics we were going for this stuff. These were actually avionics projects, not rocket projects. The rocket was just a wrapper for the avionics, trust me. So, and you'll see that in the future. In any event, yes, outstanding in my field, once upon a time at least. And hopefully again, because who else has come up with the concept of this? My friends, I give you worlds. I'm Greg Allison with Galactic Gregs, and I am giving you worlds. Yeah, I forgot to tell you who it was this time. I got so excited with what we had to talk about here. So let me stop the share and just talk for a second. Bam, here I am. Yeah, I took off my shades because I'm actually on Earth right now in my the Greg Allison Space Flight Center. Yeah, this is what I do my day job from, by the way, at the moment. So, and I'm wearing a hat that my buddy Rex Berry gave me just after we got back from the Mount Hollywood Tunnel, where I'm sitting there talking to him all about Marty McFly, and he gives me the Marty McFly version of his tinfoil cap. Can you believe it? And I was going through this tunnel telling him all about the Marty McFly thing, and that is where I yelled, "Hello!" in that tunnel. And go see the video. Light, my friends. Voice. A light from voice of mom. Go figure that one out. We were out there in Hollywood area to do shows. It's been on TV now. The shows we filmed out there have been on the Weather Channel, Strange Earth. We were analyzing videos for strange, weird anomalies and generated our own in the process. Imagine that. We had some fun. And I'm going to show this on Rex's channel. I mean, Rex and I are going to go through this too. In any event, I have a sister channel, Green Greg's. You can support this channel by clicking the links below, which are links from my sister channel, Green Greg's. That's one way to support me, but mainly subscribe to my channel. Share this video. Share it widely. This needs to go viral. Everybody needs to see this. This should have millions of views because this is revolutionary. What we can do with Venus will blow your minds. Not only that, what we can do here on Earth will blow your mind. What we can do all of us. And I'm going to show you the wild concepts for hooking these habitats up, the walkways you could have between them. We're talking about walkways that could actually have biospheres inside of them. You know, something along the size of the tubes of the Stanford Torus. You could have wildlife inside. You could have, you know, like lakes, beaches. So I've got some concepts. Oh, the recreational possibilities on Venus inside the Allison Sphere and outside are mind-boggling. We're talking nets that you can hang. We're going to cover all this. We're going to be talking about sports. We'll be talking about mining Venus. We're going to be talking about so much. We're going to have so much fun with Venus and Earth and Mars and the stars. So buckle up, hang on, guys. We're going places, and I will continue to show other things. I'm still going to do a rocket one-on-one video, but a lot of people just don't understand the fundamentals of rocketry. We got channels out there that give us a blow-by-blow every nut and bolt on a starship, but there's not a whole lot telling you what's a rocket on the most fundamental terms. So I'm going to start at building from the ground up. You know, real simple at first. Here's the most basic concept of what a rocket is. Then we'll build up and we'll get more and more complex. I've actually done videos on nuclear propulsion. I've shown you the F1 rocket engine, although I haven't gone into the inner workings of it. But we'll do more and more of these things as we go forward in this channel. But we do need to go back to some basics and build up from there. And I might even show you things about how to do system safety, figure out for rockets and spaceflight systems, how to do battery safety, what kind of system, you know, go into the subsystems of rockets, what makes them work, rockets, space stations, habitats. Yeah, I've worked on the International Space Station inside and out. I got decades of experience with that stuff. And cities, governances. Oh, by the way, I'll show you one other thing. Yeah, and I ran two power grid defense conferences. I ran an International Space Development Conference. That's what I did before I started the HALO program, helped you lift off. But I've also chaired a space conference, I chaired a constitutional convention of space. And yeah, so how do you pay for this? What's going to be the economics of the ASV5 and all that structure? Many things are possible. For example, people one day living on Jupiter may want nitrogen from Venus. And so you may have a trade because you may be wanting the hydrogen and make water to put on Venus, and they may be wanting the nitrogen. Trade back and forth. There's more nitrogen, even though the Venus atmosphere is only 3% nitrogen, because the atmosphere is so thick it's got more than Earth. We're going to talk about that in the atmosphere. But graphene may be a huge economic resource of Venus. There's so much carbon in the atmosphere. And if you use these inflatable structures, you may have huge manufacturing areas where you can lay out big things like large sheets of graphene if we get the technology to make them that way. Hopefully, as we approach 2045, which is supposed to be the year of singularity, as figured by Ray Kurzweil, which I we're not going to get there by 2045. But the whole point is our knowledge, our technology, and our ability to use graphene should advance by then, I would hope. You know, so as long as we've discovered it. Of course, I think Ray Kroc as well was a little naive with all his brilliance and genius, because, you know, systems may grow exponentially, but they always grow within some kind of a petri dish. And once your amoebas or mycelium reaches the edge of the dish, you're not growing exponentially anymore, my friends. Or once they consume all of the gelatin in the dish, that's it. You know, silicon has its limitations, and apparently we're getting there. So Moore's law is slowing down for the time being. Unless, you know, until we find some other mediums to run in, and how fast we'll expand on those are yet to be seen. How far we'll go, where's the edges of those petri dishes? So there are limits to all systems and all things. Even the universe at one time was figured to have 10 to the 80 atoms. I don't know if it is now, but so when you see numbers that are way beyond 10 to the 80, it's like, wow, what is that? We did play with those numbers. Now, all that said, pardon me, the whole thing here is that the biggest concept may be real estate, with the Starship that Elon Musk is developing. As it gets more and more mature, as we start developing more and more ways to get into space. I'm going to cover that more in the next videos, include how to operate the Starship from Venus, and how these kind of facilities I'm showing you can very much facilitate lower cost access to space. Yeah, I wasn't a cheap access to space. In fact, there was that little thing called the Cheap Access to Space Prize. There were like probably 40 teams that entered it. Mine was the only team that attempted a launch under the rules of that prize. One of the team came close. That was JP Aerospace, and our rocket actually had their payload in it. So John Powell and I were very friendly competitors, you might say. And we got a lot of, oh yeah, John Powell was also involved in that process and organization. Oh yeah, by the way, talking about property. Greg, what do you know about property rights in space? You write a Constitution Commission. What do you know about property rights in space? What are you talking about selling property in space? Buzz Aldrin cited me as a property rights expert in an article he wrote. Buzz Aldrin, who was on the first mission that landed on the moon, the only guy you can see the photographs of, because he didn't take pictures of Neil. Neil took pictures of him. So it was Buzz, you know. But he's the only surviving member of the crew that walked on the surface of the moon, Apollo 11. And Buzz Aldrin, Apollo 11. Hang on, let me put on my Apollo hat. It's not snazzy, but yeah, now I'm talking about Apollo 11. I'm talking about Neil. And by the way, I used to work for Fred Hayes from Apollo 13. I got to go back to Apollo 13 and do a story about what we didn't learn from Apollo 13. You know, there's a crucial lesson we did not learn from Apollo 13. That'll be in one of my future videos, probably after Rockets 101. But that, you know, I'm going to do a few other historical videos on Apollo coming up too. We got a few other anniversaries. I missed Apollo 13 anniversary. My life was very complex at that point in time. And it kind of hurt me because I wanted to cover it, because I worked for Fred Hayes on 2 occasions. He's actually signed my paycheck twice, and I cashed each one. Hey, there were a lot of money on them. But he did. He hand signed 2 of my paychecks. So Fred Hayes, great man. Think the world of him. And I'll talk more about that in the future. Now, my friends, property may be part of real estate just as much. You know, everything you can say for going to Mars, you can say for going to Venus, maybe more. Venus may also be the source of a staging area for operations on Mercury. Yeah, there's ice in the poles of Mercury. We can mine Mercury. Mercury would be like mining the core of a planet. There's going to be a lot of metals available on Mercury. So Mercury mining. And then you can use light cells to get that stuff away from Mercury. Mercury mining may be very exciting in one day in the future. So there's a whole lot where Venus may fit in the trade space, but in the immediate trade space just might be a real estate venture, you know, or, you know, these habitats would be spectacular. And, you know, hey, you know, I was talking about getting to orbit for $9 a pound. Okay, we just got to launch 2 starships to get you heading to Mars. Venus is actually easier to get to, and a little faster to get to, and it swings around close to Earth more often than does Mars because its orbit is shorter than the long orbit of Mars. So you got more opportunities. It's closer. The atmosphere is the same pressure. It's got Earth nearly normal gravity. After being on Venus for 2 or 3 years, you're not going to totally atrophy away. So yeah, you got still that transit time in between, which I can deal with that too. But guess what, my friends? You can live on Venus and live a lot better and be a lot healthier than you will on Mars. You can do it sooner, you can do it faster, you can do it better, you can grow more food, you'll be safer, and it's going to be easier to build habitats there. Far easier. Just wait. I'm just getting started. Wait till my next video. I am going to blow your mind in the next video. I just kind of got started in this video. Just wait till you see the next one. All right, my friends, stay tuned. And with all of that, I'm going to say, yeah, check out my Green Greg's channel because I cover gardening, worm farming, a little bit of aquaponics, a lot of the subsystems for life support and growing food you're going to need in this habitat. Oh, yeah, so I do rockets. I've done space governance. I've done space, run the halls of Congress. I've done, my whole life has been apparently getting set up to do this. Let's go to Venus. Let's just go to Venus. Let's get ready. Pack your bags. We're heading to Venus. Thank you for watching and have an awesome, awesome week.